to this week's video blog. For this week, I'm going to do my wrap-up for the month of December. So hopefully y'all had a lovely Christmas. If hopefully it was a little different this year, if you were doing what you were supposed to, which was keeping stuff small, no big crowds, because unless you've been living under a rock this past year, there's a virus going around killing everybody. So hopefully you weren't a douche or a thunderous twat and you didn't gather with like large groups of people. Yes, it sucked for a lot of people. Me, myself, I enjoy small, little, intimate, the less people the better for me. But I know that a lot of people, you like getting together with like your big families and stuff, but hopefully if you actually cared about your family, you didn't do that this year. So that's just my little PSA, getting off the soapbox now, just saying. And those of you who were douchetards and thunderous twats have probably clicked off the video now, and that's fine. I don't want to hear from you. So, on a brighter note, the books that I read this year, this month, not bad. Not a bad reading month. Two of them were paperbacks, and I had an actual like awesome win in the ebook department. So we'll start with that one first. This was a short little ebook, and ironically enough, it was one of the first ebooks that I ever got. When I first got my Kindle a moon or two ago, and it was The Witch and the Wolf by Tricia Snyder. That's the cover there. And it's a short little novella, and I really liked it. It was it's a historical, paranormal historical. She's a witch, and he's a werewolf, but she does not know that at the time, because she's on the run from her uncle, who wants to marry her off to this foul old man. And I think the uncle knows that she's a witch, and that the women in her family, that she comes from witches. And I think he either wants to marry her off to the uncle to use her somehow, or some such, but either way, he wants to marry her off. She doesn't want to be married off. She runs away. And I think she and her sister run away, and I'm assuming that we get the sister's story in like another book, but for this book, she runs off and ends up at this house. She's looking for shelter. She comes upon this house that it's a guy. Is he a duke or something? He's a nobleman, and it's him and his butler there. Nobody else, because the guy has sent the servants home because something is about to happen, and he doesn't. And the butler is the only one who knows about it. So she comes to the house, and at first he's all like, "No, you can't be here." Then it's like, "Okay, we can't send you out there because blizzard." And then she, the uncle and the guy find her, and she explains to the nobleman that, they want to marry her, but she doesn't want to get married, and so the nobleman comes up with the idea that, I've already compromised her, so you can't marry her, so I'm going to marry her. And they, the attraction, of course, is immediate, and I think he obviously is trying to hide the fact that he's about to change into a werewolf. So he doesn't want her to know, so he tries to get the butler to like keep her away from him, and to lock him up or lock her up. Either way, so that she doesn't see what he's about to turn into. And the thing is that the story, like even like as short as it was, and it was so engaging that it took me to at least halfway through. I was so like immersed in the story that it took me to halfway through for it to occur to me, wait, she's a witch. And because when he tells her that, or he mentions that he's a werewolf because he was cursed. So it took me until halfway through the story for it to occur to me, she's a witch. Maybe she could break the curse. So yes, that is what happens, and it's, you know, it's a lovely, lovely, sexy story, and just, I loved it very, very much. Short little novella, The Witch and the Wolf, or The Wolf and the Witch, by Tricia Snyder. The Witch and the Wolf by Tricia Snyder. Definitely recommend. Very, very nice, quick, engaging little read. My next is a paperback, and this is a book that was recommended to me a lot. Like, a lot of people love this book. I guess, like, in the US, some of you might have read it in school. We didn't here in Canada. It's A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. And I enjoyed this book in the way that I enjoy a lot of coming of age stories. It was lovely. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it. I didn't understand the big hoopla around it. I guess, like, if this was like your first coming of age story that you've read, then yes, I would, you know, I can see how, like, it made like a very, like, big impression on you, and that kind of you'd have like that kind of feeling about it. I enjoyed it very much, and it's it reminds me, even in the thing it says, poignant, moving, triumphant, in the best-selling tradition of Angela's Ashes. I would agree, because for a lot of this story, it's the father's a drunk, they're poor. The only difference was there was no rain. There was no rain. There was not a lot of rain in this book, because we weren't in Ireland. We were in Brooklyn. But otherwise, yeah, they were poor. It sucked. The father was drunk. But I loved the father. Johnny, what was, Nolan? Yeah, I loved him. He, like, okay, yes, he was a drunk, but I didn't see how, like, maybe it didn't, like, describe it, like, really in depth, the depth of his alcoholism, but I didn't, like, I hated the mother. I hated Katie. I thought she was horrible. She was horrible to the lead kid, Francie. Poor little Francie. I mean, okay, yes, parents shouldn't have favorites, but we all know human nature, they do. But to be so blatant about it, I mean, she was not subtle about the fact that the son, Neely, was her favorite, and she could give two shits about Francie. Like, I hated this woman, Katie, so much. And there were times when they would, like, try and, like, pass her off as, like, this nice, like, caring mother, like, oh, look how hard she works. And, oh, yes, she has some moments when she's nice to Francie. And, oh, isn't that lovely of her? And I was like, no, I hated her. And I wish she died instead of Johnny. Like, she was horrible. Like, first of all, she stole Johnny away from her best friend. And just the manipulation of that. I mean, you stole him away from your best friend just to treat him like crap for all the years that you were married. Yes, he had a drinking problem, but he clearly loved you and loved your children together, the children that you had together. And yes, he had some difficulties holding a job. But, oh, I did not like her. And a couple of times, I will say, I was very, and I hate this word, but I was very triggered at a few times during like Francie's childhood when she was at the first school and they were like bullying her and like treating her like so horribly, and she had no friends, and she was I was triggered so many times. I almost put this book down. I was like, no, this is hitting too close to home. I can't. But I pushed through, and I'm glad that I did, because then she went to the nice school with the nice people, and that made me happy. So, and then she fell in love with, what was, Lee? Was his name Lee? But then okay. So, I think he was like a soldier on leave, and he was actually engaged, or he had someone that his family wanted him to marry. But he's on leave, and he accompanies his friend on a double date with Francie, and they fall in love, or she falls in love with him anyway, and then he has to leave and go back, and then she gets a letter from his fiance, now wife, kind of letting Francie know that, yes, Lee told me about you, and just letting you know that he's mine now and he's married now. Now, I don't know if he actually did get married, or, like, I had a feeling, I could be totally wrong, but I had a feeling like the girl sent Francie the letter first, and then the family pressured him into marrying the girl because, look, oh, Francie, she's not writing you anymore, kind of thing, like she doesn't want you anymore. In my head, that's sort of what happens, because I just, the way that he was with her, I can't believe that he would be so, that it was like a callous thing to him, that like it was just like a flirtation thing to him. No, I don't believe that. So either like he was that weak that he could be turned and pressured into marrying this girl, or they manipulated him somehow. That was just my take on it. I could be totally wrong. Then she ends up with another guy that she likes, but like I think it was like her mother said something like, this first love that you have will always affect every relationship from now on. Like your first heartbreak will affect every relationship you have from now on. But you just have to, you move on, you go, and you carry that little piece of him with you always. And I really think that she did. I think she made a choice that she was going to move on and be happy, but I think he was always there in her heart, in my opinion. So, I enjoyed it very, very much, in the same way that I enjoy a lot of coming of age stories. So, yes, I enjoyed it. Blew me away? Not really, but I liked it very much. Next is another anthology that I've been having very much luck with these anthology type books. This is the Mammoth Book of Hot Romance, and it's steamy, let's get that in the frame, steamy, hot romance. It's not necessarily erotic, but some of them do read kind of erotic. And there are a few lovely little stories in here. This one, oh my god, Crimean Fairy Tale by Victoria Jansen. And it's this soldier Jonas who meets this supposed hooker during the war, and I loved their relationship so much because he was like so good to her, even she was this, as far as he knew, a hooker, and he was like, he didn't want to use her, he just really wanted like some comfort and just some tenderness, and he wanted to give that to her too, and they were so sweet together. And then she became like, it was, then he loses her, and then it's like he's like trying to find her, and like she shows up every once in a while, but it's like when he's sick and like he's not sure if he's like dreaming her, and then it takes a turn where he sees her, but she's different. She's in like different clothes. She's in like modern day clothes, and you find out that it looks like she's a time traveler of some sort, and for them to be together, she asks him if he wants to come with her into the future. For them to be together. So I loved it. I was not expecting that turn. But I enjoyed it. The next one, Blind Date by N.J. Walters. Audra and Tyson. They had a relationship. This is a second chance romance. They had a relationship and they broke up because they were just essentially two workaholics who never saw each other, and always they broke up because they kept putting their work before their relationship, and so they haven't seen each other for like 8 months, and then her best friend decides to set her up on a blind date, and she shows up, and turns out the blind date is the ex-boyfriend, and so she decides the attraction is still there. Let's just have our, in Friends terms, Ross and Rachel, Friends terms, bonus night, where they have like one last hurrah. But of course, it turns into more than that because feelings. And they, it's them sort of like working their way back to each other, and it's lovely. I enjoyed it very, very much. Next, Shelter from the Storm by Louisa Burton. Marianne and, what was his name? Rob? I think his name was Rob. Rob or Ron? Rob, yes. So Marianne comes home early one day and finds her boyfriend boinking somebody else. And this makes Marianne sad. Because Marianne is, for the most part, a shy girl who the boyfriend has torn her down so much that she has like no self-esteem. Like, he treats her horribly, but she convinces herself that she loves him and keeps trying to make the relationship work, And this is sort of a last ditch effort to make the relationship work, because he always tells her that, oh, she's not sexy enough, and he's not like attracted to like her, and like she needs to change, and blah blah blah. So she shows up at the apartment dressed up as like this sex kitten, and finds him boinking somebody else. And he is like, oh, like, did you really think that this was gonna work? And like, quit trying to be something that you're not, and blah blah blah. And she runs out of the apartment, just humiliated and horrible. And this guy in a car comes upon her, and yeah, she hears a car, and she thinks that it's the boyfriend coming to who knows what, like drag her back, and try to explain, or who knows what. But she sees that it's not the guy, the ex-boyfriend, and the guy ends up thinking that she's a hooker because of the way that she's dressed. And she tries to explain to him that she's not, she wants to explain to him that she's not a hooker, but then it starts to hail, like hail from the sky. And so he invites her into the car, still thinking she's a hooker. And so they're taking some shelter from the storm, and he's like, okay, I don't normally pick up hookers, but you're the sexiest thing I've ever seen, so why not? So they do, and then still, like, they're not saying, she doesn't tell him who she actually is. She decides that she's gonna play the part because she just wants to forget this day. This has been the day from hell for her, and she's going to just have this one crazy thing that she's done in her life, this crazy fun thing, and then maybe she can go on with her life and rebuild the shit that the ex-boyfriend has made of her life and of her self-esteem. So they do, and they form a connection, and it's so sweet. And he, he's like going to like agree to like let her go, but then he finds her again, and it's just so lovely and sweet. The next one is Fire and Ice by Portia da Costa. This one is, Ennis is her boss, and what is her name? Callie, that's right. Callie is in love with her boss, Ennis, and it's Christmas. But Ennis is like really, she finds out that Ennis is like really, really under the weather. So she decides that she's going to help him feel better. And she does. And it's sweet and sexy and awesome. And I loved it. It was lovely. Although, I will say, it's sort of like one of those 24-hour bug kind of things. And yes, she helps him through the worst of it. But I don't know if I'd be ready to go. Like, I'm not a guy, but I don't know if I'd be ready to go right the next day after when I started feeling better. I mean, again, I'm not a guy, so. But yes, it's very sweet, and I enjoyed it. And the last one, Fly by Night by Sella March. It is Katie, and what is his name? Katie is on the run from a jackass boyfriend, Eli. Eli's not the jackass boyfriend. Philip is a jackass boyfriend. Katie's on the run from her jackass boyfriend, Philip, because she saw him do a bad thing. She finds out that he's a criminal. So she decides that she's gonna leave, run out, because again, Philip treats her like a possession, an empty-headed doll that belongs to him, like a trophy. And so Katie leaves and takes his money, which I don't remember why, but she takes his money. Maybe it was her money, but yeah. So she books it out of town, and she meets a cowboy in a bar, a sexy cowboy named Eli. Turns out Eli. So after they do the dirty, she finds out that Eli was actually hired by Philip to track her down and bring her back. Eli is sort of a bounty hunter, gun for hire type. But then Eli develops the feels for Katie and decides that he's not going to give her back. Instead, they're going to not give in to Philip's demands and do something else. And then Philip finds them. And they, yeah. Let's just say Katie and Eli end up together. I don't know, should I spoil it? Should I not? Have I been spoiling things? I think I have been, right? Let me just say, yeah, they end up killing Philip and then taking off with his money to Mexico. And they're sort of like together living this like outlaw life in Mexico. But they're together, so it's happy. So it's good. So yeah, so that was the ones that I enjoyed in the Mammoth Book of Hot Romance. Yes, I've been having some nice luck with these anthology books. So that's going to be, oh, what am I reading right now, you may ask? In Audible, oh wait, yes, oh, I meant to show you. Shoot. Not sure if the cover is going to be able to come up because it hasn't fully downloaded yet. Can I just see the cover? So it's not going to show the cover, but I haven't started it yet. But in Audible, I recently downloaded Clanlands by Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish from Outlander. Yes, they wrote a book. They wrote a book about all these like different places that they go to in Scotland, and all these different places they go to in Scotland and drink whiskey and meet cool, strange, fun people. And it's a precursor to the show, the traveling documentary show that they're going to be airing soon, I believe, called Men in Kilts. Clanlands, I'm very excited to start listening to that because it is narrated by Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish with the foreword by Diana Gabaldon, who wrote the Outlander books. So very looking forward to that. And in paperback, I have started. This is It's Family Don't End with Blood, edited by Lynn Zuberny. Lynn S. Zubernis. That's probably wrong. I apologize. Featuring exclusive essays by Supernatural cast members, including Jared Padalecki. Now, this is a collection of essays based around the Supernatural fandom, and because the show has finished its 15-year run, and this was actually in 2017 though, so there were still a couple seasons to go, but this book is based around the Supernatural fandom and just fans and the actors sharing their experiences of what being a part of this fandom has meant to them and how it has affected their lives for the better. And I'm about 70 pages in, and I've already nearly, I've teared up and cried twice. So yeah, it's a gift that my sister got me. My sister Julia LeBlanc of the famous Outlander video fandom, and I got her into Supernatural, and she actually is ahead of me now. She's finished the whole 15 seasons. I'm still on season 11 because I'm doing reactions for the remaining seasons, because this did not occur to me to do for seasons 1 to 10. But yeah, I fell behind in Supernatural, and I left off at season 10. So I've started watching season 11, and I'm doing reactions for that on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/authorejamie, in case you're interested. And so she got me this book, and that is what I'm reading right now in paperback. Ebook, don't have one yet. Don't have a new ebook, but Audible, we have Clanlands by Sam Hewen and Graham McTavish. So that's what I'm reading right now. And that's going to be it for this week's video. Hope you enjoyed that. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/authorejamie. Like my Facebook page, at facebook.com/authorejamie. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!